A potential agreement between the IRS and ICE is causing concern among Cleveland's immigrant community. Stephen Hernandez spoke to some legal experts about what this could mean for those living here in Northeast Ohio.
No sé qué vamos a venir a terminar en todo esto que estamos viendo ya, que apenas estamos empezando.
This immigrant couple is worried about their future. They are a client of Margaret Wong and Associates Law Office in Cleveland. They chose to not identify themselves out of concern for their safety. According to several reports, the IRS is close to a deal to share tax data with ICE, which will help immigration officials find migrants in the U.S. illegally.
Every Friday, Saturday, I look at all the new laws. I think it will happen.
Margaret Wong has been an immigration attorney for decades, and she believes the move is part of an effort to instill fear in the immigrant community.
It just doesn't seem right. You're deporting all these people who have been living in America 10, 20, 30, 40 years just because you need the numbers.
These, along with several other changes to immigration policy, are making some in Northeast Ohio reconsider whether or not they should even stay.
Ya no va a alcanzar uno para mantenerse uno aquí, pues dice uno, no, pues mejor regresar a su tierra de uno porque no hay de otras.
According to one nonprofit group, in 2022, undocumented immigrants paid $96 billion in federal, state, and local taxes. Wong is concerned this information swap could discourage undocumented immigrants from filing their taxes. But she's reminding everyone that certain authorities, like Homeland Security, can already obtain tax information if necessary.
Don't work from fear, but from strength. Keep filing tax return. If they want to find it, they will find it. They have to file tax return because otherwise they're violating tax law.
In Cleveland's Goodrich-Kirtland Park neighborhood, Stephen Hernandez, 19 News.